What's up, everyone? Welcome back today for another video. So the playoffs are just around the corner. I thought it'd be a fun idea to rank every single out of the 8 playoff series from the ones I'm looking forward to seeing the most to the ones I'm looking forward to seeing the least. So obviously we know that the 8 playoff matchups, it's going to be Tampa versus Florida, Toronto versus Ottawa, Washington versus Montreal, Carolina versus New Jersey out east, and in the west, it's going to be Edmonton against LA, Minnesota against Vegas, Winnipeg against St. Louis, and Colorado versus Dallas. So let's get started. So coming up number 8, I've got the Carolina Hurricanes versus the New Jersey Devils. For me, this is probably the least exciting series, and for many reasons. For one, in my opinion, out of the 16 teams that made the playoffs, I think the New Jersey Devils are probably the weakest making it. The main reason why is because of Jack Hughes' injury, but he's a huge part of this team. We don't know yet if Dougie Hamilton will be ready to start that series. Obviously, if he is, that's going to help the Devils a lot. The Carolina Hurricanes are not the most entertaining team to watch. It's very defensive. They seem to lack scoring come playoff time. They normally beat up these weaker teams, these wild card teams that come into the playoffs. Even though the New Jersey Devils are in a divisional seed, but in reality, if they were playing in the Atlantic Division, they'd probably be like 5th. So I think that the Hurricanes it's probably gonna be a fast series. It's 2 smaller markets. I don't know. It's not the series that inspires the most, and especially with the other series that we're gonna get to see. This is for sure the one that is probably the least exciting. At number 7, I've got the Vegas Golden Knights against the Minnesota Wild, a rematch of the 2021 first round series in which the Golden Knights took in 7 games. The Wild, who at the time fought pretty hard in that series. The good news for the Minnesota Wild, they got Kaprizov back, they got Eriksson Ek back, so it should make it a tougher opponent. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the Wild. We can't forget that they were one of the best teams in the NHL the first I would say the first half of the season they were one of the best teams in the NHL. Then also they got completely decimated by injuries. So if Minnesota stays relatively healthy, I think they could put up a good fight in this series. But it's 2 teams that, are more defensively minded teams. It's going to be a lot of later games, so it's not really something that I think we're going to see it in this video. A lot of an East Coast bias, considering I live in Quebec, so I'm not going to be able to really watch those games unless those are afternoon games, Quebec Eastern time. So I think that it's a series that is going to be interesting, but it's, once again, with the other series we're going to see, at best I can put it at 7. Number 6, I got the LA Kings against the Edmonton Oilers. 4.0, right? 4 years in a row that we're going to get to see this series. But the big difference this year is that the LA Kings, unlike the last 3 years, have home ice advantage. I think that's huge for the LA Kings, who have been one of the best. Well, they've been the best team at home in the regular season this year. So you would think that maybe I'd have them higher because, like I said, there's a rivalry between these 2 teams. But the Oilers have really looked terrible to end the season. They're not going to have Matthias Ekholm for this series. So I think that it's probably not going to be that great of a series. We'll see my predictions I'll make tomorrow. I'm not that high on the Edmonton Oilers, so I think that the LA Kings, it's not going to be the greatest series that we're going to see, but I'm excited to see. I'm very fascinated to see how the LA Kings can take advantage of this situation. Now at number 5, the St. Louis Blues against the Winnipeg Jets. I think the Winnipeg Jets, it's a must win after what happened the last 2 years against Vegas, against Colorado. They cannot lose this series, and I think that's the main reason why I have this series number 5 and not any lower, because the Blues have played very well down the stretch as well, so it's 2 of the hottest teams in the league. I can't put it any higher, unfortunately, because I think the series ahead are going to get more attention, are going to be more entertaining, but I think this is going to be a very good series. I'm just really looking forward to see how the Jets are able, if the Jets are able to get finally past the first round and go on a deep run for once. But I'll tell you one thing, the Blues are not going to make it easy on them, that's for sure. It's also going to be a rematch of the 4 Nations face-off goaltending clash between Connor Hellebuyck and Jordan Binnington. So we'll see if Connor Hellebuyck can finally get the better of Jordan Binnington. Not to mention as well, it's also a rematch of the 2019 first round, where the St. Louis Blues won that series and then won the cup. Just saying, who knows? Maybe the Blues are due for another cup run. All right, at number 4, I got the Battle of Florida 4.0, Tampa versus Florida. The first time that this series happened was in 2021. The Lightning took down the Panthers in 6 games and then won the Cup. The next season, in the second round, the Lightning swept Florida in 4. Well, in 4, obviously, it was a sweep. So, and then they went to the final. They lost in that final against Colorado. And then last year, the Florida Panthers manhandled the Lightning in 5 games and then won the Stanley Cup. So it seems like whoever wins the Battle of Florida always ends up going to the Stanley Cup final for some reason. I think these are honestly probably the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. So in my opinion, these are 2 teams that should be heading on paper to the conference final at least, and should be able. And that's where we should see this matchup. But because of the division format, that's what we're going to see in the first round. I hope for once that it's a close series, because like I said, the first 2 times they met, Tampa Bay easily won, and last year it was Florida who manhandled them. So I'm hoping that we're going to see a real rivalry, but obviously there is a rivalry between these 2 teams, but I'm hoping that we see a series that goes 7 games and that these are close. These are 1-goal games or something. We see some overtimes, but I think it's going to be still a pretty good series. All right, number 3. So this is where we're going to put my Habs bias aside, because obviously, as a Canadiens fan, my number 1 priority is to watch the Canes versus Capitals series, but I'm trying to be as neutral as possible as like a general hockey fan. And for me, number 3, I got the Canes versus the Capitals. It's probably one of the most highly anticipated 1 versus 8 matchups we've seen in the last few years. Obviously, the Washington Capitals, who were kind of a surprise this season. I don't know if a lot of people had them in the playoffs. They'd be probably in the mix, but they've ran away with the Eastern Conference this season. And the Canadiens, who were expected to be one of the worst teams in the league, according to a lot of experts, well, they've overperformed and they've made the playoffs. Another interesting storyline, it is the grade A Alex Ovechkin, the greatest goal scorer of all time, who obviously beat the record. It's going to be interesting to see like how the Caps, because the Capitals haven't been playing very well since Ovechkin broke the record. Even the weeks prior to him breaking the record, the Caps were not that sharp. So we'll see if they're able to flip the switch. And another, like, probably the number 1 most exciting part of the series, like I said, we're going to see Ovechkin on one side for the Capitals, and we're going to see Ivan Demidov on the Montreal Canadiens, who's probably viewed as the next great Russian superstar, he's played 2 games. He got a goal and assist in his first game. He got shut out in the second game, but that's going to be a heck of a series. It'll be fun to see as well the Bell Center fully packed in the playoff game for the first time since 2017. So it's been a very long time. Remember, 2021, there were no fans in the crowd, and when it got to like the conference final and the Stanley Cup final, there were like 3,000 fans. So it's not the same. You're going to see 21,000 fans here at the Bell Center with the Ole Ole chants, the Go Have Go chants. It's going to be electric, and I think that you cannot not have at least Kane's top 4, this series top 4, for entertaining value, because it's going to be very good. I'd be pretty surprised if Washington ran away with the series, even though, they probably are the better team. I don't see it being an easy series for Washington. At number 2, the Dallas Stars versus the Colorado Avalanche. So obviously, at trade deadline, the Colorado Avalanche were trying to negotiate with Mikko Rantanen, and it didn't work. They weren't really able to come to a deal, so they decided to trade him to the Carolina Hurricanes, and Mikko Rantanen wasn't interested in signing in Carolina. So the Hurricanes decided they had no choice but to trade him, and they traded him to the Dallas Stars, who are a Central Division rival to the Colorado Avalanche, a team that knocked him out in the second round last season. So now he's looking for revenge. The Avalanche, them too, they were aggressive. They added Brock Nelson, they added Ryan Lindgren, they added Charlie Coyle, not to mention they also added Mackenzie Blackwood like in December. So these are 2 teams that look pretty good. But unfortunately for Dallas, they don't have Miro Heiskanen to start the playoffs. So their defensive depth's going to take a hit. So I think that, but it should be regardless, an amazing series. We'll see if Colorado's at a rebound from what happened last season. And then number 1, hence me wearing this Toronto Maple Leafs jersey of Austin Matthews, the Battle of Ontario, the Ottawa Senators, and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Obviously, any series that involves the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to get a lot of attention because it's probably the biggest market in the NHL. But the fact that we're going to see the Battle of Ontario for the first time in over 20 years is electric. As a Canadiens fan, I can't wait to see that. It's a shame that both of them can't lose, but anyway, I think that it's going to be an amazing series. You're going to finally see Brady Tkachuk in the playoffs. He's played like almost 500 games in his career. He still hasn't made the playoffs, but he's finally going to get that opportunity. I'm excited also to see how the Leafs are able to do now with a new coach, Craig Berube, and also they've revamped their defense core. So I'm looking forward to see how the Leafs are, if they're able, if that was really like a former, like a past problem that they had, or is it really just this team cannot figure out how to win? We're going to have a good idea if they lose to the Ottawa Senators. Odds are there's going to be a lot of changes this summer, but it's going to be a heck of a series. I think it's going to probably be it's the type of series I can see going 7 games easily. All right, that puts an end to this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know, which series are you most looking forward to seeing in these playoffs? And we'll see you again next time as the playoffs will begin.